Hi, today I wanted to take a minute to share a book that I've recently finished. It's called Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. I really like this book and I think it's a great way for creators like myself and others to, on regular basis, share our work. And if you are anything like me, you might be thinking, oh, I'm not an artist. I don't produce anything necessarily to be able to share with the world. And I think you are wrong. At least this book convinced me that I am. I'm a coach, I'm a business coach, and I'm a trainer. I also host podcasts. And I often think, especially when it comes to, for example, my coaching work, how can I share what I do in a coaching environment, right? And Austin really makes it easy and simple for readers to take inspiration and really try to share your work no matter in what business you are. You might be an artist, a photographer, you write, you maybe paint, then it's in a way kind of easier to share your work. But even if you are not, trust me, I think Austin really convinced me that everyone has things to share. And what I like about this book is very easy to read, very accessible language. And I also like that Austin provides a cheat sheet here where he basically summarizes 10 of his main points that he discusses in detail in the book. But there are a few that I really like and I wanted to share. For example, you don't have to be a genius to share your work. And I couldn't agree more. When I first started, I remember when I launched my first blog, and I wanted to hit publish, I was so anxious, so nervous. I thought the whole world will now have access to my blog and read and think how bad my writing is, and then they're gonna judge me and whatnot, right? I remember the same thing when I recorded my first video and put up online, and I was just waiting to receive negative comments. And in contrary, people were very responsive and open and encouraging. And so I encourage you to think in creative ways. Whatever that you do, how can you share it without necessarily thinking that you have to be a genius, you have to be an expert? And the other thing that I really like, the point two, my favorite, think process, not product. A lot of us, especially if you are an artist, for example, right? You think I have to finalize my product and then show the world what I've created. But Austin here really encourages to share, and that's another word, share something small every day, is that while you are creating your piece of work, piece of art, share then. Don't wait until your product is finished, right? So for example, in my case, with podcasts, for example, what I'm thinking is maybe I should do kind of compilation of like bloopers or moments when informal conversations I'm having with the guests. So my audience also are able to see the kind of the backstage, right? Not just the polished, published final product of the podcast episode, the interview I'm doing with an entrepreneur, but also what happens behind the scene, kind of, right? What goes into preparation? How do I set up the room, and how do I have the initial call with the person, and so on. So I'm thinking of creating something like that. So look out, and maybe you will see, and let me know what you think. The other point that I really like is teach what you know. And this is, I think, such a great way also to educate yourself and improve and strengthen your skills. The best way to learn is to teach. And if there is something that you know that others could benefit from, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with the world, and you will be amazed how much encouragement you will receive and how grateful people will feel for doing that. And one last one that I want to share is learn to take a punch. I think for many of us, when we want to share our work, we feel reluctant, hesitant, right? Because we don't know how people will react. And yeah, as Austin says, be ready to take the punch, like be strong. Like, of course, there will be people who might not like your work and they might criticize you, or they will share some negative feedback, but it's okay. You know, there is a saying that I really stick by. You might be the juiciest peach in the world, but still there will be people who hate peaches. So my encouragement to you and from Austin is to share your work no matter in what field of business you are in. Try to think, how can you take your audience into your world of creation? So for example, when I do in-person trainings, that's a bit easier, right? So I try to, because people aren't with me, they don't see what's going on, so I try to take them there. I post the pictures and stories of the room, the setup, when people come in, during the session, during networking, and after the event, just to give a sense to my audience of what they've been missing. So I encourage you also to think creatively and start sharing your work one small piece at a time.